Hi there, so you clicked on this video because you wanted to learn how to farm ice. Well, in this video we're going to look at 3 farms as well as go over some of the basics to farming ice. I'm going to start with the basics, but there will be time codes down in the description if you guys would like to skip ahead to any of the farms in this video. The first encounter with ice in Minecraft that you realize that it's a different block than all the rest. It's more fun, it's slippery, and you also notice that when you break it, you can't collect it. It turns into water. Even if you mine it with pickaxes, it still turns into water. Doesn't matter which level pickaxe it is, it still turns into water. So there is a simple solution to this. We actually need to enchant our tools, and once we enchant our tools with this specific enchantment, we can actually use any level pickaxe or an axe or a shovel. As you can see, now that we use, even with a wooden pickaxe, a diamond pickaxe, axe, or a shovel, we can actually collect all of this ice after having enchanted it. Now, the enchantment in question is Silk Touch. We can get it on a tool or on a book. And the usual way to get Silk Touch early game is with an enchantment table, but we will need a full enchantment setup for that. Now, a full enchantment setup looks something like this. You will need several bookshelves, and there are videos on YouTube to help you figure this out if you have any troubles with this. But in order to get Silk Touch, you'll need the tool that you want. You'll need some lapis, at least 3, and look, we got lucky right off the bat. We have 30 levels, and our 30 level enchantment is actually Silk Touch, and it came with Unbreaking 3. But there are more consistent ways to get Silk Touch in this game. You can go with dungeon loot, which has a chance of giving us Silk Touch in a book. So those skeleton spawners, zombie spawners, and even in the end stronghold, you can possibly get these. You can get them from fishing. You can even find tools that have already been enchanted with Silk Touch in the end. And the easiest and probably most consistent and efficient way is to get a villager with Silk Touch. I haven't traded with this guy yet, and yet he's got a Silk Touch trade ready for us. All we need to do is trade for the book, take the book with a tool that's not already enchanted, and then we're gonna place it in an anvil, and voila, you have a tool with Silk Touch. You may notice as you're out mining ice in the world where it naturally generates that the game doesn't actually provide a way for this ice to regenerate. But we have a solution for that. Easiest solution for farming ice is something very similar to this, where we have 3 water sources, and we have them contained in, and the very center source is open to the sky, while the side sources are not. These half slabs will prevent this water block and that water block from freezing, but this one being exposed to the air will allow the ice to freeze, and therefore we have a very simplistic, very slow, might I add, ice farm. Wait for it. So there you go. About 10 minutes later, we did get an ice to form. Okay, so now let's look at the conditions in which the game requires for ice to be formed or frozen. First condition for ice to form in our worlds is that we must actually be in a snowy biome. I'm here on the Minecraft wiki page, and here are some of the biomes at which ice can form. Ice can also form in the mountain biomes at higher elevations, as you can see in some of these screenshots. I will provide a link to this wiki page for you guys to check these out for yourself. Another important condition for ice to form is that it must have direct access to the sky. This one on the right is covered with a glass, and even that glass block will prevent this water from freezing, while the one on the left, having direct access, will freeze eventually. As you can see, light level is an important factor in the forming of ice or the melting of ice. This pool here on the far left is completely frozen, so let's have a look at the light levels involved with this. And as we can look here, the key is that the one in the center melts first. So let's have a look at that light level. And that light level is block level 10, as you can see where my cursor is. Anything above that is going to melt. As you can see, this is block light 11 and 12. When you get into this area right here, the game can actually freeze and melt this block randomly. And the final condition, and one of the most important, is that there must be a block adjacent to the water source block in order for it to freeze. As you can see here, we've got a source block just on the flat ground spread out with no blocks adjacent to the source, and this will never freeze. And also, as you can see right here, we've placed some water in this pool here, and as you can see, all the blocks are forming on the outside first. Now, as blocks do form on the outer bit, as you can see, just perfectly timed, blocks can continue to encroach in the middle, but they must have a block. One exception to the block adjacent rule is waterlogged blocks, half slabs, stairs, no matter which direction you turn them, trapdoors, no matter what state they're in, will not allow blocks to freeze because the game treats them as if they're water and a block at the same time, and you can't freeze half a block. So I've laid out these half slabs here with a pool of water in them to prove that even a half slab can freeze a block as long as it's not perfect timing, as long as it's not waterlogged. Alright, finally, let's dig into some farms. I'm going to have some links to tutorials down in the bottom that aren't in this video. Some of those are some really amazing farms. But first, we're going to look at, in this video, a farm that is great for a starter farm. Then we're going to look at one that I made some time ago that is really redstone heavy. And then we're going to look at a new one that I've made with a flying machine. So those time codes are in the description if you still want to jump ahead. Okay, so the first farm is very great for a starter farm. This is the very farm you'll find on the Minecraft wiki page. And also, I believe Exumavoid did a tutorial for this a while ago. Not sure exactly whose original design it is, but this is a fantastic farm. All you need to do is create a square. You could just dig it out of the ground, use wood or dirt. That way your pickaxe doesn't break the blocks on the exterior or on the floor. And then if you just make it a diagonal in the square, you can cover it with half slabs over top to prevent sky access, which will prevent the water from freezing, as you remember. Or you can use half slabs because they don't freeze either, and waterlog them down the middle. And once you break out the blocks, the water will reform. Now you do need to harvest all of the blocks along the side here so that the water can reform as well. Otherwise, it will just be flowing water. But that's how that farm works. There will be a tutorial linked right now in the top right of the screen. You can check that out. But for now, let's move on to the next farm. Okay, so the next farm is an ice cube farm, one that I built some time ago that I lovingly referred to as the Ice Crown. Now this was inspired by Ethos Ice Cube that he built in his Let's Play world, and I wanted to modernize it a little bit. And let's just go ahead and get rid of the ice cube. And we can see that ice forms in these trays along the side. It gets pushed up, pushed over, and then onto this piston pad, which is operated by a whole ton of observers down here. This is a pretty expensive farm and it's bulky, but it's one of those things that's just a fun project to do. Now my tutorial, which will be linked in the top right at the moment, is a lot cleaner than this farm looks. I just threw this together really quickly to give you an example about what I was doing, what was going on. And let's see this farm in action really quickly. Anyways, the point is this farm can hold 1,872 ice blocks at its entirety. So this is the flying machine farm that I've designed. And I want to go ahead and let you guys know that this is just going to be a showcase for now, but there should be a tutorial linked in the top right of the videos right now. And I also have a link in the description to this very world where I have laid out step-by-step instructions on how to build this farm. All the way right down to every bit, and spread out version of the flying machine to make that easier to build as well. So download that or check out the tutorial and build this for yourself. Okay, so I have a command block here to delete the ice blocks, and it will tell us exactly how many ice blocks this farm can store. Now, of course, before we do that, just so you know, this farm can be much longer if you choose for it to be, because it's a flying machine. So let's press the command block with the /fill command, and that's going to tell us it holds 3,024 blocks. And this, I believe, the ice is 44 blocks long. I may have that completely wrong, but it's very close to 44 blocks long. 2 wide by 44 times 4. And there you go. That's it. So I've done some testing. I did a 1 hour test. I got 1,749, but I imagine it varies a little bit over your different tests. I don't have the carpet mod or anything like that installed, so I'm going to go ahead and say a safe number is 1,500 ice per hour. Now, obviously, we've got this farm running with a flying machine. But before we get into the flying machine, I want to look at a potential problem the farm offered that I needed a solution to fix, and that is, once some of these particular columns, say this one was to be a full push limit of 12, and then this one couldn't push down any further, and this one did, and that one did, whatever the pattern may be, you end up with places here where there's either no water, like here, no water, or running water, and that won't freeze either. And then you might have one water block here. So what that does is it prevents the farm from actually creating, like you've seen in the last clip, of having a full column of ice all the way down. So the way we fix that is by actually melting the very bottom layer. So as you can see at the bottom, we have some jack-o'-lanterns at the melting distance, and I can show you what that is right here. The melting distance is 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks, and this one would always melt, creating a water source right there. So what we're doing is using this mechanic, and we're pushing it down, and our push limit block is actually this one. That melts, and that way it allows there to always be one more that can be pushed down. And on top of that, so we're losing one there, we're losing one here to use as a floor so we can collect our ice. And then we also have one here and potentially 2 layers. So actually we're only being able to collect, what is that, 8 layers of block, or 9. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, 9 layers of ice are collectible of the 12. And this is all just so that this is a more user-friendly situation. We can store as much ice as possible, and you can collect the ice by walking on the floor without it falling into this water pool or anything like that. And so basically we have a flying machine with pistons on the bottom to push the ice down. The observers trigger the pistons when the slime block moves. And this is one flying machine with one attachment, basically. You could continue to add attachments as long as you don't reach push limits. And our return mechanism, because we don't necessarily need this going back and forth constantly, is just this daylight sensor. And yeah, over time the sun will move, and that will trigger the daylight sensor to change power states, and that observer can read that. Same thing happens here on this end as well. We need some obsidian blocks to prevent the flying machine from breaking itself on both ends, and that's how the system works. Just need a piston here to turn off the old flying machine to keep it from being able to push. And yeah, anyways guys, check out that tutorial. I hope you found this video informative. If you did, leave a like, and also subscribe if you're new to the channel. And yeah, check out one of the videos that we've linked in the description, and we'll see you over there.